Hello and welcome to Yoga with Carolynne. My name is Carolynne. If it's your first time here, welcome. Join the community by subscribing to the channel. And if it's not your first time here, welcome back. It's always lovely to have you here. Today's class is a balancing yin-yang yoga practice where we explore what cultivating balance even means. I know for myself, the idea of feeling balanced can welcome in this idea of having to feel centered and zen and calm all the time and having balance between all of the things that I'm juggling. And the reality is that balance, if you've explored balancing postures in your yoga practice, you know that there's a whole lot of wobbliness and imperfection throughout that process. So this is going to be your space to really just explore all that balance encompasses through some balancing postures, but also through exploring hatha, so some strengthening postures, and then yin yoga, so some stillness and stretching postures within the same container. So props you're going to want for today's practice are your yoga mat, a couple of yoga blocks, and then some sort of prop that will help your seated postures like a meditation cushion, a pillow, or a folded up blanket. So put on your comfy clothes, grab all of your props, and let's get started. Welcome to Yoga with Carolynne, teaching empaths and sensitive souls just like you how to create a collaborative relationship with your body through cozy, accessible yoga and self-care practices in order to live a life filled with less doing and more being. Before we get into the practice, I just want to mention that I have the luxury of having a beautiful window with a beautiful view in my office that I always like to have in the back of my space when I'm recording these practices for you. But the nature of being backlit during the standing portion of the class today means that the lighting gets a little wonky for the first half of the practice, but I really hope that you stick with me and you bear with it. You can still see me, you can still see what we're doing, but by the yin portion of the practice, the lighting gets all back to normal. So I appreciate your understanding. So please placing your props in the way that I've got myself set up here. For the standing portion or the hatha portion of today's class, we're going to be doing it entirely standing, which is going to be a nice break for your wrists. So placing the blocks in their highest height on either end of your yoga mat, and you'll be facing the long edge of your mat. So you're more than welcome to grab your device and place it so that it'll be in front of you facing the long edge of your mat. So you can pause here if you need to and get back into it once you've got yourself set up. And finding yourself in the center of your mat, coming into mountain, into Tadasana. A little bit of a different way to start a yoga practice, right? Typically we start seated or down on the ground, but we're starting standing today. So positioning yourself with your feet about hip distance apart. So whatever positioning in the feet feels grounding and supportive for your body. Ground down into all 10 of your toes, big toe, pinky toe, and your heel. Notice if you're kind of buckling in, so can you allow the weight to be evenly distributed amongst all of the points of contact underneath of your feet. Bring some softness into the knees and allow the pelvis to feel centered. So you can even bring your hands onto your pelvis and kind of lengthen into the low back, bring your belly button in towards the spine so that you feel supported. Allow the arms to come down alongside the body. They can be palms facing in or slightly turned forwards to find an openness across the heart. If it feels okay to do so, you can bring your eyes to a close as you invite some length into the top of your head. It's a lot of cueing for just a standing pose where you're not really coming into anything fancy, but it's this intention that you bring within standing that can be so incredibly helpful for, yes, all your other standing postures in yoga, but also when you're out and about in life and you're like waiting in line or you're standing washing the dishes or whatever, to stand in a way that really supports all of your muscles and your bones and your joints and your tendons. You are here. You have arrived in your yoga practice within this really sacred and safe container within which you are held, and you are welcomed exactly as you are. Today, as we explore this idea of what does it mean to cultivate balance, emulating the balancing energy of the spring season if you do happen to find yourself in the spring season as you watch this video. There are no specific answers or no right way to cultivate balance. So know that this is an exploration of sensations, of experience, and of embodying. I'll ask that you slowly keep your eyes closed here. You'll slowly slide one hand on your belly and one hand on your heart, both palm face connecting into your body. For your next breath, take an inhale starting in the base of your belly. So feel that hand on your belly rise. And then feeling the hand on the chest rise as you continue your inhale. And then exhale as you soften and you let that breath go. And do that again. Inhale, starting in the base of your belly and then in the top of your chest. Exhale, let it go. One last time like that. Beautiful. Slide the hands back down beside your body and softly open up into your eyes. We'll begin to move. So I'll ask that you start out by taking a nice big wide step on your yoga mat. Not quite as wide as if you were to come down in a standing forward fold, but wider than your hips, most definitely. And we're entering right into an exploration of balance. So there's a little bit of playfulness in this movement. Again, because I really want the focus to be less on getting this perfect or making this look right, but just more so of what does balance encompass and what do you feel within an exploration of balance. You'll bring your hands onto your hips and you'll sense down into your feet. So I'm going to be mirroring you here. You're going to begin to bend into that left knee and then straighten again into the left knee. And then again, bend into the left knee and straighten into the left knee. One more time, bend and then straighten. Now bringing a little bit more momentum to it, you'll bend and then kick off away from the floor. And then land back into that foot, right? So it's kind of playful, a little bit different, and bringing yourself back down. So doing that a few more times. You can keep your hands on your hips. That'll help the supporting of the balance while you bring yourself up. Or if you want to play a little bit with the balance, you can extend the arms out by your side, like as if you were in Tadasana, and reach the fingertips down. You're going to do this up and down movement one more time. And then the next time you press yourself up, pause. Ooh, if you have to bring the toes down, all good. Flex into that lifted leg. Coming into 5-pointed star. So if the hands are still on your hips, you can absolutely keep them there. Option 1 is to stay there. Option 2 is to keep your hands down here if you've got them here. Or option 3 would be to find a lot of space, reach the hands away from each other. As they reach up, maybe you can lift the leg a little bit higher. Notice the wobbling and the shaking that's happening in the body. What happens within the container of exploring balance. It's not perfect. There's a lot of nuance and a lot of movement and imperfection within balance. And then slowly you'll land that left foot back down. Let the hands settle back down beside your body. Continuing to focus on this left leg. You'll turn the left toes towards the side of your space to come into Warrior 2. Open the arms up, please, and soften the shoulders away from the ears. And then bending into that left leg. Notice if your left knee comes in front of the ankle. If it does, please walk that right foot back so that knee is above ankle. Once you settle down, you root down into the floor, into the ground. You take an inhale to reach the crown of the head up towards the sky, and then you turn your gaze to look over top of the middle finger of the left hand. And then we pause.
You feel, you stay within the stillness and the experience of this shape, warrior two. The hands will drop down onto your hips as you straighten again into that left leg. Now bring the right foot in by like one step. We're coming into triangle pose, which is a really nice stretch for the hips and extension for the spine. Both legs will remain straight for this shape, and your block will be a helpful tool here. So it's ready for you as you place the block on the inside of the foot. If you don't have a block, it's not mandatory. Again, you keep those legs straight. Opening up into the arms, the gaze is above the middle finger of the left hand. Reach into the left fingertips as you reach the right hip back. And then when you can't reach anymore, the left hand comes down. You reach the right hand either up towards the sky or it rests on your hip. The focus is a lot less on that extension of that top arm and more on opening that top shoulder back. The gaze can be up, forward, or down. It's completely up to you. The only thing I will ask though is that you maintain length and extension in your neck. And breathe. And slowly you'll bring yourself back up to standing. As you do that, you can move the block out of the way. And then bring the left set of toes back in. Pause in the center. And then we'll do all of that on the other side. So starting with the hands on the hips, you bend into that right knee, and then you extend. 2 more times. Okay, now bringing some momentum into it, bend, and then straighten as you lift up away from the floor. You can keep the hands on the hips, or you can play with extending the fingertips out and down. If this feels like super weird, let it be fun. Maybe turn the corners of your mouth up. Maybe there's a slight smile or you let out a little bit of a giggle. We're doing this together, so we're being weird together. One more time. And then the next time you lift up, you pause. Ooh. Flex into that foot, that right foot. It'll help to lift the leg up a little bit more. If at any point you need to bring the toes down for a moment to lift it back up, all good. Option 1, hands on hips. Option 2, arms out. Option 3, reach up. Take up space and breathe. And then slowly bringing that foot down, arms come down by your side. Coming into warrior two now on the other side. Open the right set of toes towards the front end of your space. You'll probably want to take a step back with that left foot so that once you bend into that right knee, the knee comes above ankle instead of in front of ankle. Open the arms up, soften the shoulders away from the ears. Gaze comes above the middle finger of the right hand. After that exploration of balance, you can notice, how is your breath? Do you notice your heartbeat here? What do you notice within a cultivation or an exploration of balance? Maybe there's an added sense of having to use the support, the ground beneath you, to breathe through it. Hands come onto hips as you straighten back into that right leg. Left foot comes in a step or two. You can grab hold of that block if you are using it, so it comes in its highest height on the inside of that right foot. Open the arms up. Both legs stay straight, just avoid hyperextending in the knee, so a slight softness to the right knee. And then you reach into the right fingertips to press that left hip back, and then right hand comes down. Left hand either reaches up towards the sky or comes onto your hip. Gaze up, forward, or down. Your inhale brings you back up to standing. You can move that block away as you bring yourself up. Hands come down, and you bring the right set of toes back in. And then from here, be really aware of this release because you've been in this wide-legged position for a while. You tiptoe the feet back into center. So one last standing posture before we come down towards the ground and explore some stillness within Yin Yoga. Coming into tree pose, which yes is a balancing posture, but inherently tree pose I find has this really grounding and balancing energy into it within the movement and this sway that is in balance. So bringing the hands onto the hips, find something to focus on with your gaze, so probably not looking at me or the device. Bringing your weight into your right standing foot. And you start by keeping the left set of toes down on the floor and you open the left knee out towards the side. This is option 1. Option 2 would be to slide that foot up to come on the inside of the bottom part of your leg. Option 3 would be to slide that left foot up towards the inside of your right thigh. All options are not better or worse than the other, they're just options. You can keep the hands on hips, you can bring them into heart center, or you can reach the hands up towards the sky. Wherever you are, you continue breathing through the wobbling and shaking, and notice all the slight adjustments that your foot, your standing foot, has to do in order to help support you. I think one of the things for myself that I notice within an exploration of cultivating balance is that, one, it's imperfect, which is a nice reminder that there's no ultimate goal within feeling balanced. But 2, that kind of the slower that I do it and the more presence and awareness that I bring to it, maybe the sweeter the balance can feel. So a reminder to slow down. That balance is not found within rushing through. Slowly resist the urge to release out of it really quickly. Hands come down, foot comes down, pause, arms down by your side. You can even bring your eyes to a close as you feel. Notice and be with the sensations of that standing leg. And then coming into the shape on the other side, grounding down into that standing left foot, hands on hips. Right toes stay down on the floor and come in, and then you open that right knee out towards the side. This is option 1. Option 2 would be to slide that foot up, avoiding the inside of the knee, so right underneath of that knee. Option 3 is to slide the right foot up to come on the inside of your thigh. And then you know the options now on where the arms can go. I think I'm going to keep hands on hips this time. They're all just options. Maybe this side feels a little bit different than the other side. And slowly, bringing that right foot down towards the floor, pause, feel, be. Beautiful. So you've been upright, you've been exploring balancing, a few strengthening postures. So now we'll transition from the Hatha portion of the class into the Yin portion of the class. So I'll ask that you bring yourself down towards the floor, and you'll still be facing the long edge of your yoga mat. The first Yin yoga posture that we're finding is coming into a wide-legged forward fold. So this would be a beautiful opportunity for you to support your body by grabbing hold of your folded up blanket or your meditation cushion and placing that underneath of your sit bones. And then here you'll widen your feet. So same shape in the legs as you were in those standing postures. And you're seated on that cushion so that you're kind of tipping your pelvis forward to help create more space for your body. Once you've got that wide shape in your legs, your blocks might be really helpful tools here for the seated forward fold. So your blocks can be supports for underneath of your hands, they can be supports for underneath of your forearms, or they can stack in a way where you're supporting your forehead. You also don't need to use the blocks, they're just there for added support. So you can also just bring your hands down towards the floor and explore what gravity can have to offer you here in creating space in your body. So I'll let you guide yourself into the shape when you're ready. So you're coming forward into a forward fold, letting yourself round forward, letting the head drop, letting go of any sort of ideas in terms of what this pose should look like. The only should here is, are you honoring the sensations in your body? If you're feeling sensation, any sensation other than pain, then really you're doing this pose absolutely perfectly. In Yin Yoga, we hold these postures in order to get into the deeper tissues of your body. So we hold these postures for anywhere between 2 to 5, maybe 7 minutes. But for today, we're going to be holding this pose for about 3 minutes. I'm going to stay quiet for the period of time that you're here so that you can allow the stillness and the silence and the rhythm of your breath to be what brings sweetness to this experience.
You'll use the support of your hands to slowly press your body back up. The head is the last thing to come up, and I would encourage you to keep your eyes closed so that you can feel and sense into the release. This part after a yin yoga posture is called the rebound. If the eyes are closed, you'll softly open up into the eyes and use the support of your hands to bend into your legs. After a forward fold, it can feel really nice to extend into the legs and bring the hands behind you and reach the heart up towards the sky. Or after the legs have been bent for quite some time, it might feel nice to just hug into a ball and just pause here. And then you'll make your way from here to come onto your back so that we can come into our last yin yoga posture, which is a double-sided shape. Bring your blocks with you. You'll want them for this next and last shape. You're coming into a supine twist, so a really nice two-sided shape which will help release into the low back after that forward fold. So opening the arms up into a T shape or cactusing in the arms, the palms open towards the sky. You press into the feet, lift the hips up, slide the hips over towards the left and bring them down. Knees come in towards the chest, and then you allow the knees to fall towards the right. So if the knees don't land comfortably towards the floor, then you can place a block underneath of your knees or a block in between your knees. If you don't have a block, your pillow or your blanket can be a helpful support. The gaze can remain up towards the sky, or the gaze can look the opposite direction of your knees, so towards the left. And you allow yourself to just be welcomed in by the stillness, balancing out that movement, that strengthening, that doing that you did at the very beginning of the practice. I find for myself that this idea of cultivating balance within the context of productivity and reaching towards goals and being action-oriented, which is really what this season is all about. Again, if you happen to be watching this during the spring. That cultivating balance throughout that process of doing can be so incredibly valuable. That there's equal amounts of effort and rest, of doing and being, of walking forward and not walking, just pausing, of looking ahead as well as reviewing the past and being in the present. It can be difficult to be all on one end, maybe doing, or all on one end of only resting. Balance can be a really helpful companion within the context of sustainability, of living, of being, of doing sustainably.
To release out of the shape, you'll move that block out from beneath your knees if you were using it, and bring one knee up and then the other knee up, and your hips come back into center. Arms come back in just to give your shoulders a rest, a break. So in this moment, between one side and the other, currently there is an unbalance, a lack of balance. So notice if the right hip and the left hip feel any different. To help invite in balance within the body here, we come into the shape on the other side. So you open the arms back up, you scooch the hips over towards the right, and the knees come in and fall towards the left. Your block is either under or between your knees to help support your body. You also don't need to use the block if you don't need to or want to. Gaze can remain up towards the sky, or it can be looking in the opposite direction towards the right side of your space. If it feels okay, the eyes come to a close and you let yourself drift off into stillness. To release out of the shape, you'll bring everything back into center. It might feel nice here before coming into a few moments of Savasana to bring the knees in towards the chest and hug them in. And then extending into the legs, the arms come alongside the body. You're welcome to cover your body with a blanket if you'd like here. You settle into just a few moments of being and stillness and receiving the benefits of the practice through corpse pose, Savasana. slowly bringing the awareness back into the body by bringing movement into the fingers and toes, wrists and ankles and head. Reaching the arms up overhead, stretch, and knees come in towards the chest, hug. Bringing yourself onto the right side of the body so that you can press yourself up into your seat. Hands come into heart center as you press the palms together. Letting yourself feel and sense into the effects of the practice. What does cultivating balance look like and feel like for you? We'll end today's practice with one last breath together, you and I. Inhale. Out the mouth, let it go. Softly opening up into the eyes. Thank you for joining me during today's balancing yin-yang yoga practice. If you enjoyed today's practice, I would love it if you let me know in the comments below. And if you're interested in practicing yoga a little bit more with me, I actually teach a weekly live stream yoga class that is in this yin-yang style. So if you're interested in participating in that, the live stream yoga classes are always open for registration. You can drop in or you can register for the entire series. You also can gain access to all of the recordings of the live stream yoga classes by purchasing the seasonal video library. And all of the information for that is in the description box below. Have a wonderful rest of your day.